Hi, I'm Aliesha. I am the author of the best-selling book From Seed to Sapling. I'm a child development coach, a keynote speaker, and a trainer and a mentor. Let's just pause for a moment to imagine a world where every child possesses the resilience to be able to bounce back from setbacks, the authenticity to be able to stay true to who they really are, and the entrepreneurial spirit to be able to innovate and to create. Imagine what kind of future we'd be able to build together. What if I told you that the future success and well-being of our children hinge not only on their academic achievements, but on three fundamental pillars that are often overlooked by the traditional education system? These three pillars are there to support our children to be able to succeed in life. They will set up our children to have the abilities to be able to cope with what life throws at them, and to not just cope with it, but to thrive in that ever-changing world that we live in. Unfortunately, our system is not set up to be able to give our children these gifts. It's set up to do quite the opposite. So what we need to do is look to be able to bring these fundamental pillars that are here to improve the life of our children back to our parenting. Now, what we are seeing with our children is an increase in mental health challenges. The rates of mental health disorders in children between the ages of 4 to 11 years of age, as at May 2021, was 13.6%. Now, these are startling numbers. 13.6% of children are having mental health disorders. And what the research is showing is that these numbers are significantly rising. Over the last 20 or so years, these numbers have doubled from what they used to be. Now, what else is really, really scary is that these rates that we're seeing in these mental health vulnerabilities and challenges starting in children is actually showing that these are carrying through to adulthood as well. What the research shows is that 50% of mental health vulnerabilities and disorders experienced by adults have started before the age of 14 years old. 50% before the age of 14. That is just astounding. Our kids deserve better. You know, if we were to look at some of that, the older children and looking at some of the adolescents, what we're seeing in these older children, these adolescents, that's the current future that our children are walking towards. What we're seeing is that 1/3 of adolescents are actually experiencing anxiety levels so extreme that they're interfering with their daily functioning of life. 1/3 of adolescents. These numbers are just unacceptable. They're too high. We need to take action to be able to help our children and to be able to really provide them the tools and the skills that they need to deal with the ever-changing world that we live in. What we're seeing is that if we don't develop these three fundamental pillars with our children, there is an increased risk of their developing these mental health vulnerabilities and challenges. What the research conclusively is showing, both within Australia and internationally, is that we need a holistic and comprehensive approach to supporting our children. Now, research in this space with mental health for children is ever evolving. And what is really fantastic is that it is growing. And with it growing, it means that we will learn more. What we have seen is since the National Children's Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy was released in October 2021, there is a continuing focus of this space That strategy in Australia, National Children's Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy, this highlighted the fractures and the challenges that are being faced by children under the age of 12 years old. Now, this is fantastic for our children. It is highlighting the need of what they are asking for and what they need from us. So as parents, I'm sure you want something different and something better for your children. Now, the good news is that the action that you take today to be able to help support your children will help to transform the future that lays ahead for them. Now, I've referenced 3 fundamental pillars a few times already, and you might be wondering, what are these? So let's take a moment to have a bit of a look at what I believe are the 3 key elements that we need to bring back to support our children. The first of these is resiliency. We are noticing so much challenge from a resiliency perspective with children. They are not developing that ability to be able to bounce back when life is throwing them curveballs. Now, what we do know about resiliency is that there is a combination of protective factors that actually enable people to be able to develop and that adaptability and that resiliency to be able to face those serious hardships in life. Now, resiliency is something that can be developed at any age, which is fantastic news. Even better, the earlier that we can develop this in our children, the better it shows in the research. So let's dive in and help develop their resiliency. Now, the second pillar is authenticity. Now, authenticity can mean different things to different people. How many times have you heard someone say, just be yourself, I'll love you? Now, they're not wrong. If you are yourself, it will be fantastic. However, to really being able to be true to yourself and to be able to express who you are authentically, at the foundation of all of that is a deep need for self-trust. This is something that we need to develop in our children. For them to be able to develop that strength of resiliency so that they can recognize, they can honor, and they can trust their feelings that are happening for them, and to be able to then act in alignment with their values. Now, the third pillar that I've mentioned is entrepreneurial spirit. You might be wondering, how does entrepreneurial spirit link in with children? They're not entrepreneurs when they're 4 or 5 or 6 or even at 13. What we need to look at is the mindset that connects with this entrepreneurial spirit. Now, this is that mindset of innovation, of creativity, and that ability to be able to perceive failure as an opportunity for learning and for growth. And that ability to be able to take healthy risks and not be fearful of risk taking. These are fundamental abilities that we need to develop in our children. 3 pillars: resiliency, authenticity, and entrepreneurial spirit. Now, as your child looks to start engaging in activities that align with their interests and their passions and things that are really sort of catching their attention, they will become more confident in expressing who they are and what they believe in. So what we need to look at is to keep fostering these abilities in our children. These 3 pillars are that key for our children being able to build meaningful connections with people. You might be wondering, how does that link so much? Well, the ability for these 3 pillars and what they are doing in developing these meaningful connections is to be able to really create that genuine and that vulnerability in that relationship. You need to feel resilient to be able to handle things. You need to know who you are and to be acting in accordance with that. And you need that mindset of entrepreneurial spirit, to be able to be open to the creativity and that opportunity of what those relationships can be. So these 3 pillars are really fundamental for our children being able to build those meaningful connections with others. These pillars are also key for emotional regulation. Now, this emotional regulation is what actually looks to impact our ability to connect with others and engage with the life that's happening around us. So again, it circles back to these 3 pillars and their linkage for being able to regulate their emotions, to connect with people. Being able to understand their emotions will actually be able to help our children to talk about their feelings more clearly, and that will then also help them to be able to avoid and, more importantly, resolve conflicts in a more productive and more effective way. It's also going to bring more consciousness to new emotions as they continue to develop, and this will then help them to be able to expand as a human. As they develop this understanding of their emotions, they'll be able to then also support that moving past difficult feelings in order to more easily move into letting go and being able to accept both the good and the bad of what life throws at us all. Now, by having that increased emotional regulation and that ability to connect with others, it's also bringing an increased awareness of what triggers there might be for our children. This will then being able to bring that self-awareness for them to be able to, again, thrive more fully in life. So being able to help our children to develop coping strategies and self-soothing techniques is something that will help them work through as they continue to be able to develop in this space. Now, coping strategies and self-soothing, these are things that our children begin to learn as an infant. And it is something that they continue to develop as they continue to grow and as they become more conscious to new emotions as well. What we are seeing though is that there is an increased device usage that is actually having a negative impact on our children's ability to be able to self-soothe and to be able to cope with these more challenging moments in life. Because they haven't learned that self-soothing and those coping strategies, children are actually looking towards distraction instead of dealing with things. And this is further impacting negatively their resiliency levels. Now, there are many factors that are impacting our children. There are many societal influences that are shaping their views in how they look to perceive the world, how they look to perceive themselves. They are living to all of these expectations that they are looking at, and this is actually creating it's fostering in our children a bit of an issue with some self-doubt and insecurity. So these again are things that we are seeing amplified through social media, but these are things that we need to look at being able to help support our children to develop. Again, this all circles back to those 3 pillars: resiliency, authenticity, and entrepreneurial spirit. If our children had increased level of resiliency and they knew who they really were, being able to combat that self-doubt and that insecurity would be so much easier for them. Those societal influences will still be there shaping their views, and they will still be able to live to whatever expectations might be happening around them, but they can do so in a more informed way and in a way that is connected to who they are, so that they can feel so much more confident in stepping into all of those areas. Now, what we have actually seen, creativity and authenticity is declining with age. this is terrifying. In the book, A Whack on the Side of the Head, Richard Von Uch, he talks about a particular story where a teacher has drawn a chalk dot on the blackboard and has asked two different classes what they see. So the teacher steps up to the front of the room, draws a chalk dot on the blackboard with a year 10 class and asks them, what do you see? These year 10 students all turn around saying, well, I see a chalk dot. The end. Fair enough. That's exactly what we see, a chalk dot. However, remember, this is about creativity and authenticity and the decline that we're experiencing. This same teacher drew the chalk dot on the blackboard with a group of kindergarten students and asked them, what do you see? As I'm sure you can guess, the range of responses was vastly different. Now, these kindergarten students were throwing everything out from a bug's eye to, a squashed bug on the blackboard. We can see how they get this squashed bug, that chalk dot on the blackboard. Yeah, totally understand the squashed bug there. But this isn't something that those year 10 students even were able to think of. They only saw what was directly in front of them, which was the black and white chalk dot on the blackboard. They didn't have that level of creativity and authenticity to be able to expand their thinking and their perception of what that could be. So what we're seeing are that these traditional education systems are not setting up our children to be able to provide them these learnings that they need. They need this resilience mindset. And unfortunately, this is not something that our schools are set up to be able to offer to our children. They have other points of focus. That true authenticity is not supported either, as our children are being asked to meet a certain outcome as defined by others in order to be successful in the world. What we're seeing is that developing these pillars in our children is actually going to enhance their ability to challenge conventional thinking, to be able to come up with fresh ideas, fresh insights, innovative solutions. This is what we want for our children. We want them to be able to think through all the wondrous opportunities that are available. It's our role as parents to take action as we need to develop our future leaders of tomorrow. Now, these three pillars that I've spoken about, resiliency, authenticity, and entrepreneurial spirit, these are the cornerstone that are empowering our children to navigate life. By cultivating these three pillars, they develop that inner strength that they need, which then makes them better equipped to face all of life's challenges and life's amazing opportunities. They will be there ready with open arms to say, let's learn, let's go to the next thing. What's my new challenge and new adventure ahead? So I just want to leave you with a thought here that for me, I would love to envision a world and a future where we can cultivate and equip these children with the tools that they need to navigate challenges, to be able to stay true to themselves and to create that meaningful change in the world. The positive impact that doing this would have, it not only will have a positive impact for our children, which is what we all want, but it's also going to have a positive impact for our communities and the society as a whole. The span of what this positive impact could be is just limitless. By investing in your child and their future success, you're actually investing in the betterment of society as a whole. So I encourage you all as parents to be the champions for that holistic education that your children both need and that they deserve. let's commit ourselves to nurturing these essential pillars in the next generation that's coming through. This way, every child can reach their full potential and not only succeed in life, but thrive in an ever-changing world. I am looking to work with children to develop these 3 pillars. I have written a book for parents. It's called From Seed to Sapling. It unveils a transformative roadmap that parents can take a journey with their child to be able to help develop these 3 pillars. I also look to provide in-school workshops to develop these 3 pillars with children. I provide group coaching, and I also look to provide a tailored one-on-one coaching to be able to really truly personalize the development of these 3 fundamental areas in children. My gift to you for joining me today with this conversation is that I would love to be able to offer you an opportunity for us to connect so that I can help you in talking about your child and how we can look to develop these 3 pillars within your child. I would really love for you to book that phone call with me and for us to have a conversation about how we can develop these 3 pillars. I would really love to say thank you for your time and your attention today. I'm so grateful for you joining me in this conversation, and I really look forward to talking to you soon about how we can support your child in developing these 3 key pillars in life. Thank you.